Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today's video is going to be just a brief overview of the amazing new autofocus features that the R3 has introduced. I found an article on Canon Europe and I'm going to be just using that as a resource. So let's jump straight into it. The title reads, the fastest, most instinctive autofocus in the world. What do they exactly mean with this quite cliche statement? They introduced advanced subject recognition by the use of the so-called deep learning technology. They also feature eye control autofocus, but what I'm really excited about when it comes to this camera is the extraordinary low light sensitivity. Let's talk about the revolutionary eye control autofocus first. They already had this in a couple of previous cameras back in the day, 20 odd years ago or 30 years ago. Let's read about this in the article now in detail. The revolution in autofocus, eye controlled autofocus. The EOS R3 offers a completely new and natural way to focus. Select an autofocus point or a subject to track simply by looking at it. A half press of the camera's shutter button then either focuses at the selected AF point or initiates continuous tracking of the chosen subject. The combination of eye-controlled autofocus and focus tracking makes the EOS R3 a formidable action camera. Shooting athletics on the track, just select the runner you want to follow simply by looking at them. Press the button and the EOS R3 will track the athlete, picking them out from the crowd. The same magic can be performed on anything from politicians in press conferences, motorbikes, on racetracks, and even birds in the sky. I'm especially intrigued by the latter. I can imagine how amazing that would be just to be able to track a bird by looking at it. That would be super impressive. The eye-controlled autofocus system is easy to calibrate, and calibration settings can be saved for instant recall and even swapped between bodies via memory card. That is a pretty cool feature for sure. A single camera can be programmed for different photographers or for the same photographer wearing either spectacles or contact lenses. Of course, selection of autofocus points is also possible by the use of the multi-controller or the unique smart controller. I believe the first smart controller was introduced in the 1DX Mark III. Correct me if I'm wrong. Here we have just a couple of images just for demonstration purposes. See the eye control autofocus in action as the photographer selects the second motorbike by eye and the camera focuses on the new subject. The EOS R3 also recognizes eyes and tracks the focusing to keep the eyes pin sharp. The EOS R5 and the R6, which were both released just over a year ago, they both have amazing eye focus capabilities, but Canon definitely upped the ante with the R3. This last picture you can see a basketball player going up to the hoop. Focus tracking keeps the eyes of the basketball player sharp as he takes the shot. The R3 is also able to track the helmets. What the fuck are helmets? Come on Canon, you can do better than that. Alright, so the next topic is going to be the next generation subject tracking using the same deep learning technology that we applied to the EOS R5 and R6. We've taken the EOS R3's autofocus to the next level. The camera recognizes people, animals, and now motorsport vehicles as well. Apparently hundreds of thousands of images from different photographers and agencies were used to teach the camera exactly what the real world looks like and how it moves. So they have three options. The first one is people. The camera identifies and focuses on the eyes of the subject it's tracking. If the eyes are not visible, the face is given priority. If neither of these are visible, for example, when a football player turns away, then the R3 prioritizes the subject's head, then their body. I'm pretty certain that this hierarchical system that they've got in place works absolutely flawlessly. The camera's people tracking abilities have been also optimized for better tracking of subjects wearing helmets or masks, which is perfect for sporting spectaculars. The second category is about animals. They added cats and dogs, which are recognized by the camera's subject tracking technology, along with birds, even when birds are in flight. The EOS R5 and R6 already supported the latter. The last category which they added are vehicles. The EOS R3 has been programmed to recognize racing cars and bikes, from Formula cars to Grand Tourer and even rally cars. It can even differentiate between open and closed cockpit vehicles, focusing on the driver's helmet when this is visible. Racing motorcycles are also recognized, and again, the ability to track the rider's helmet is possible, keeping them in sharp focus as they race. This last bit that's coming up is really important. The subject tracking is now supported for all autofocus area settings. And thanks to the speed of the EOS R3's stacked back-illuminated sensor, focus is sampled at up to 60 times per second when using the electronic shutter at 30 frames per second, ensuring our most accomplished autofocus tracking yet in a Canon camera. This is super impressive, even though the Sony Alpha 1 can apparently do that at 120 times per second, which is absolutely crazy. But an autofocus system is super complex, so it's not all about that. Let's briefly read about the dual pixel CMOS autofocus second iteration and its advantage. The camera's dual pixel CMOS AF2 technology turns each of its 24 million pixels into a focusing sensor, which group together to make 4,779 selectable autofocus points and areas of different sizes. This actually sounds quite mind-blowing to me, considering that the 1DX Mark II, which is a 5-year-old camera, my main camera that I'm currently shooting with, only has 61 selectable autofocus points. These can be positioned absolutely anywhere in the viewfinder for 100% coverage. Even the pixels that are not being used for the selected focusing point still pass information back to the camera's autofocus tracking engine for incredible accuracy. The dual pixel CMOS AF2 technology in the EOS R3 is the fastest and most sensitive autofocus system in the world for a full frame camera sensor, able to focus in as little as 0.03 seconds and in light as low as -7.5 exposure value. I keep repeating myself, but this is so impressive. For example, with the 1DX Mark II, which was released back in 2016, as I said before, it can focus using the one-shot autofocus, which is the most accurate, up to -3 exposure value, and this is 2.5 times more sensitive, so that's just mind-blowing. I get super excited just thinking about shooting birds in very dim light. Also, there are a couple more articles that I can highly recommend that you read, especially if you are either a wildlife photographer or a motorsport photographer. So feel free to check out those if you're interested. I will leave a link to everything in the description. Also, let me know what kind of camera you're using. Do you have the R6 or the R5? Are you excited about the R3? Let me know in the comments below. By the way, if you're interested, feel free to check out my rumor video on the EOS R1, which is supposedly coming out in the 4th quarter of 2022. Anyway, guys, this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Also, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much, and see you guys very soon in the next one.